please have a roll call?
I state your jurisdiction, if you'll please state your name. San Mateo County. San Mateo County. Atherton,
Rick DeGolia,
Belmont,
Julia Mates.
Brisbane,
Colleen Mackin,
Burlingame,
Donna Colson,
Colma, Daly City,
Rod Das Magwal,
East Palo Alto, Foster City,
Sam Hindi,
Half Moon Bay, Hillsborough,
Larry May,
Los Banos,
Tom Faria,
Menlo Park,
Betsy Nash,
Millbrae,
Anders Fung,
Tiger Jazz Big Stick.
Portola Valley, Redwood City,
Giselle Hale,
San Bruno,
Marty Medina,
San Carlos,
Laura Palmer Lohan.
San Mateo, South San Francisco,
James Coleman.
Woodside, Director Emeritus,
Pradeep Gupta,
Director Emeritus.
John Keener.
Okay, and we have a quorum. Thank you.
okay, great. And we have a new board member to swear in. Do we have, is Jennifer on the call? Do we have legal counsel?
Yes, I'm here, Alana Mandelbaum.
Oh, hi, Alana. Great.
Hi,
Hi. Can you do the swearing in?
I can. So, and it's pronounced Anders. Is that right?
correct, yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so repeat after me. I, Anders Fung,
I, Anders Fung,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I would support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemy, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Okay, you have been sworn in.
Thank you so very much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay, is there any public comment on the matter before us for this special meeting? I don't see any public comment, but I think that Nellie has a couple comments that she wants to read. You're muted or you're very silent.
I will save my public comment for the item that we.
Okay, well, we're at the item right now.
Oh, right. Give me one moment.
Do we need to still set the agenda?
Yeah, we might as well take an action to set the agenda. Thanks. Can I get a motion to set the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Harvey. And I will second it.
Second.
part.
Okay, great. Can we please have roll call on setting the agenda?
Okay, San Mateo County, San Mateo County, Atherton,
Yes.
Belmont,
Yes.
Brisbane,
yes.
Burlingame,
yes.
Colma, Daly City,
yes.
East Palo Alto,
Yes.
Foster City,
Yes.
Half Moon Bay,
Yes.
Hillsborough,
Yes.
Los Banos,
Yes.
Menlo Park,
Yes.
Millbrae,
Aye.
Pacifica,
Yes.
Portola Valley, Redwood City,
Yes.
San Bruno,
Yes.
San Carlos,
Yes.
San Mateo, South San Francisco,
Yes.
and Woodside. And the motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So the first item on the agenda is approval of 2 resolutions relating to California Community Power.
Nellie, do you want to read the comments first, or do you want me to do the presentation first?
Either way, we could do public comment first if you'd like. I have them here.
Okay.
Okay, so this is from board member Jeff Alves, sent on Friday, January 14th. To my colleagues on the board of directors, I reviewed the new project with the procurement subcommittee on Thursday the 13th, and I am excited to see this first CCP project move forward. The addition of long duration storage to Peninsula Clean Energy's portfolio represents a significant and critical step forward in meeting both our financial and our sustainability goals. Energy storage will enable us to reduce PCE's carbon footprint on its path to full-time carbon-free power. It also protects PCE against price volatility, one of our greatest financial risks. I am in full support of the project, and I hope you will vote to approve it. Apologies for not being there, as I have a conflicting meeting. Best regards, Jeff Alves, the town of Portola Valley. On Sunday, January 16th, from Lithuania, dear board members, as a member of our procurement committee, I have reviewed documents supporting this decision. Additionally, I want to share that I have attended every single CCP board meeting since its inception, with the exception of one. After much negotiating, this project also beneficially includes a project labor agreement for its construction and environmental policies. I believe this project has been thoroughly vetted and is ready for approval with PCE's participation. Rick Bonilla, Mayor, City of San Mateo. Thank you.
Great.
All right. Let me pull up the slides for this evening. All right, so we're going to discuss approval of 2 resolutions related to CC Power. So I'm not going to read these out for you guys, but these are the same resolutions that were in the board packet. And we did have 1 memo and 2 separate resolutions because we are asking the board to take 2 actions. So one is directing the CEO to vote as a member of the CC Power Board, and the second is on Peninsula Clean Energy's participation in this project. All right, today we're going to go through a little bit of background on the RFO process, why we need to procure this resource, the contract structure, the project, and then finally we'll get back to the recommendation. So as a little bit of background, we started this process in 2020, so about 1.5 years ago, through a RFI for long duration storage with several other CCAs. We followed that up with an RFO in October of 2020. In February 2021, CC Power was formed, and we moved the RFO process under CC Power. In 2021, in June, we shortlisted the projects, and we've been working on our negotiations since then. Part of the CC Power process requires a 60-day notice when they're going to approve a contract. That was started in October 2021, and now we're getting ready to do the approvals for CC Power, with the goal of CC Power doing their approvals at their board meeting tomorrow, and then all of the other CCAs following their approvals over the next 90 days. In the midst of all this, the CPUC in June 2021 also issued what's called the Midterm Reliability Procurement Order, which orders the procurement of long duration storage. And I'll get into some more details about that in a couple of slides. There are 7 CCAs participating in this joint effort. So you can see whose other CCAs are that are participating in this project with us. So now I'll talk about the midterm reliability procurement order. This was adopted by the CPUC in June 2021, and it orders load serving entities in California to collectively procure 11,500 megawatts of new resources. And that 11,500 is allocated to LSEs by load share. Those resources have to be zero emission or RPS eligible. And just under half of that is allocated to specific category requirements. And so this slide is showing what our PCE's portion of the obligation is. And in red, I've circled that we have an obligation to procure 19 megawatts of long duration storage resources. One thing to note is that, go to the next slide. These are not nameplate capacities. These are what is called net qualifying capacity. And long duration storage has been assigned a net qualifying capacity of 78.2%. So each megawatt of nameplate only gets us 0.782 megawatts of net qualifying capacity. So that 19 megawatt allocation is equivalent to 24.3 megawatts of nameplate capacity that we will have to procure. And the procurement has to be done by June 1, 2026. The project has to be coming online by 2026. So the next section is on a contract structure. So the first slide here is showing us what a typical CCA contracting structure looks like. We, as Peninsula Clean Energy, would sign a contract with a developer, and we would sell the power we get to our CCA customers. When we're working with CC Power does not have any direct CCA customers. So now we, as Peninsula Clean Energy, will sign a contract called the Project Participation Share Agreement with the other participating CCAs as well as CC Power. And CC Power is signing that contract with the developer for the energy storage services. The Project Participation Share Agreement walks through how CC Power will deliver the energy storage services to each of the CCAs and how we will make payments to CC Power that are then passed along to the developer that owns the project. It also goes through what happens if a particular CCA doesn't make their payments on time, and what default would look like under that. We will also be signing what's called a Buyer Liability Pass-Through Agreement, or BLPTA. This is signed by each CCA, signs a separate agreement with CC Power and with the developer. And this is basically a guarantee that says that we're guaranteeing to make our share of the payments that are required under the ESSA. The ESSA is the Energy Storage Services Agreement. And then the final agreement that we'll sign is called the Operations Agreement. And this details how the CCAs will work together with CC Power to operate the project, including, for example, hiring a scheduling coordinator to decide when the battery will charge and discharge into the market. So this is what the full set of contracts will look like. So since we're working with CC Power, a little bit more complicated than when we just work by ourselves. So the project that we are looking at tonight is called the Tumbleweed Project. It's being developed by Rev Renewables, which is a subsidiary of LS Power. It's located in Kern County near Rosamond. We will receive the ability to charge and discharge the battery, the resource adequacy, and the ancillary service benefits of the project. It's a 69 megawatt lithium ion battery with full capacity deliverability status, which means it's available for resource adequacy. It's expected to start operating June 1, 2026, and the contract term is 15 years. And the battery duration is 8 hours. As we've been doing with all of our projects, we did an environmental review. So we evaluated whether it was located in protected areas. And for this project, the analysis showed that it was not located in a protected area based on these two different databases, the PAD US or the READY database. We have links for more information about each of those. We're allocating the shares of the project based on each CCA's CPUC obligation. So PCE's is 19 megawatts. We're about 20% of all of the CCAs. So we're receiving 20% of the project, which is 13.59 megawatts. Under the contract structure, CC Power pays for the use of the storage project. It's a fixed rate, there's no escalation. The contract term is 15 years, and then we receive all of the product attributes from the facility. Two pieces of credit and collateral that are important. So the buyer liability pass-through agreement is a guarantee. So we're guaranteeing our payment performance. We do not have to post any sort of LC or cash collateral. The second collateral piece is that under the project participation agreement, each CCA commits to taking up to 25% additional capacity if another CCA defaults and is not able to continue. And then we are also making a 3-month payment obligation posting to CC Power. So this allows CC Power to be able to pay their our bills under the contract without having to collect from the CCAs first. Under the contract, all construction work will comply with prevailing wage requirements and be conducted using a project labor agreement or a similar agreement. The contract also requires that the seller obtain and maintain all permits and approvals. And the seller also warrants and represents and warrants that it has not used forced labor or any materials that were produced using forced labor. Each CCA is seeking authority to procure up to a maximum amount of megawatts to cover a contingency should not all CCAs gain their board authority through this process, and also to cover a 25% step up. We're asking for approval up to 24.3 megawatts of nameplate capacity, which is the total amount we would need to procure to meet our midterm reliability requirement. We expect to only be allocated 13.59, but this gives us some upward room in case something happens during the approval process over the next 90 days. All right, so then just restating the recommendation here that we take these two actions. And that is the end of our slides. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer those. Oh, I think I see a hand from Colleen.
I have a question from Colleen.
Okay.
And then Donna.
I wondered if a CCA defaults and is removed from the agreement, can another CCA actually sign onto the agreement as an amendment?
Yeah, we do have a whole process in the project participation agreement about what will happen if a CCA defaults. And it allows us to first offer it to CCAs that are part of the agreement, and then to CC Power, and then outside of CC Power.
Thank you.
Okay, Donna?
Thank you very much. So my question is just around the definition of forced labor. How do we define that, and how do we investigate that? So for example, if we have solar panels that are coming from another country, you know, how do we warrant, or how does the buyer warrant that there's not any type of whatever they're defining forced labor as? I don't know if that's free labor or labor that's, you know, not been paid or compensated, or what that is.
Yeah, so this slide shows the definition from the contract. For this one, it'll just be batteries. We don't have any solar systems, but batteries could be produced in China. I don't know, we have Kevin Fox with us who negotiated the contract on behalf of CC Power. Kevin, did you have a conversation with the developer about that question?
We did, and I understand that, like many developers, Shaban, this developer is putting in place audit processes to better understand all of, you know, where their extended supply chain is sourcing materials from. This developer is one that has been very proactive with respect to looking to put that sort of audit trail in place in cooperation with the Solar Energy Industry Association.
Thanks, Kevin. Donna, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's fine. And that's ongoing, I take it? Like if there's, you know, additional work or things that happen, we just monitor and audit that throughout the term of the agreement, I take it. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions? Siobhan, I have a question. This doesn't come online until June 2026, is that right?
That's right.
When do they start building it? And I'm just wondering about that time frame.
Yeah, the expected online date is June 2026. I'm sorry, the expected online date is April 2026, and then the guaranteed is June. And let me just double check on the construction start date. So it's supposed to start construction at the end of 2025.
Okay, so it's not that long of a construction period, but they're waiting end of 2025. So they're waiting 4 years to start construction almost.
Yep, and there might be some work that needs to be done on permitting and interconnection ahead of that. Those can be pretty long timelines.
Okay. Pradeep and then Giselle.
Thank you, Rick. I just wanted to make a comment, not a question. And I just wanted to tell the board that as a member of the procurement subcommittee, we have gone through the details of this project, and I highly recommend that we approve this project because it meets 3 different objectives from my perspective. One, it meets the requirements of PUC that we need to do the much more, actually about twice as much storage by 2026 as this project brings in. So we still got to go some ways. Secondly, in order to make 24/7 clean energy goal become reality, we need to bring as much storage as we can in the short term. And finally, this project shows the way that we CCAs can work together on a project. And this is the first pioneering project. So we are very excited that this can happen, and CCA as a unit can work out all the negotiations on bigger projects. Thank you.
Giselle.
Thank you, Chair. What happens if technology accelerates and evolves prior to groundbreaking significantly? Would we have the ability to go back and look at the latest and greatest and fold that into the project, or are we going to be committed to 2022 capabilities?
Yeah, so the contract requires a particular type of technology. They're expecting to use lithium ion batteries, but I don't think they will place the order for those batteries until closer to groundbreaking. And I think part of the reason that the timeline is a little bit later is that there's a lot of demand for those types of products right now. So I believe they would order and we would receive the latest type of lithium ion. They're not going to be sitting in a warehouse for 4 years waiting to be used.
That's great. Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions or comments that anyone on the board has? And I don't see any. Let me make sure there's no public comment that's come up. If you have public comment, you can click on reactions and raise your hand at the bottom of your screen. I don't see any public comment. Can I get a motion to approve?
Chair DeGolia?
Yes.
We have a hand raised from Tom Cabot.
Okay, great. I don't see that. Tom, oh, there you are. Okay.
Thank you very much. I just had a question. I was wondering if the joint agreement would allow the different CCAs to operate their individual shares to different schedules, because I think they will be pursuing different objectives. For example, trying to cover a clean energy 24/7 schedule would maybe not be the most economic schedule, and other people might be pursuing economic schedules, which discharge the storage more into the peak hours rather than saving it for some of the other hours.
The operating agreement gives us a lot of flexibility in how we choose to operate the project. We will have to make some of those decisions together, and it goes into a lot of detail around how decisions are made. There's some flexibility to operate it differently, but you get into a lot of complication when you try to figure out settlements with the CAISO for those types of operations. This is a pretty small sized project based on our entire portfolio. We have a number of other storage projects that are going to be larger. So this one will probably work with the other CCAs in operating it as one, at least initially, as we start seeing how this operates in the market, because it just gets very, very complicated if you're trying to make 7 different decisions and then figure out how you allocate any CAISO costs or revenues based on those different decisions, because they could be conflicting or they could overlap. The other part that I would add is that based on how we see things operating in the market right now, I expect that we would want to operate this. There will be a lot of overlap between when we want this to operate to meet our goals, as well as when it's economically feasible to operate. So right now there's a lot of solar in the market. So we wouldn't want to operate it. We wouldn't want to discharge during solar hours. We'd want to discharge it when we don't have a lot of solar in the market. So overnight or in the evenings. And that also happens to be when prices are highest. So there's currently a lot of overlap in how we'd want to operate the project.
Okay. I don't see any other comments or questions. Siobhan, you've addressed both of these resolutions, is that correct?
Yeah, so yes. So the first resolution is directing the CEO how she would vote at tomorrow's CC Power board meeting. And the second resolution is approving Peninsula Clean Energy's participation in this project and delegating authority to the CEO to execute the 2 contracts that we will execute as part of our participation.
Okay, so I think we can approve this in one motion. If I can get a motion to approve in a second, I'd appreciate it.
Move to approve, Mates.
Okay, thank you.
Second Medina.
Okay, and we have a second from Marty Medina. Can we take a roll call, please?
Okay, San Mateo County. San Mateo County. Atherton,
Yes.
Belmont,
Yes.
Brisbane,
Yes.
Burlingame,
Yes.
Colma, Daly City,
Yes.
East Palo Alto,
Yes.
Foster City,
Yes.
Half Moon Bay,
Yes.
Hillsborough,
Yes.
Los Banos,
Yes.
Menlo Park,
Yes.
Millbrae,
Aye.
Pacifica,
Yes.
Portola Valley, Redwood City,
Yes.
San Bruno,
Yes.
San Carlos,
Yes.
San Mateo, South San Francisco,
Yes.
Woodside. And the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's all we have to do tonight. So I can get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
moved.
adjourn. So moved.
Sorry.
Or Tom, I'll second your motion.
All right. Faria, motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you later this month in our regular meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Night.